All right, so currently here we have the current Saffron Health UI, and so I just want to quickly go through like what we have as our overall right now, so we can kind of see what we want to change. And so here, this top bar right here, this kind of showcases like the information that it's like kind of like the total number of members. Then we have like the population that's engaged, we have medical spending, and that's broken up into these categories. And then the main thing that we have here is that cost analysis graph. And this really just kind of shows like where we are right now and where we're headed in a year. And then we have these giant risk bus buckets. Um, and like I think immediately here we see that this cost analysis graph is taking up a lot of space. It's currently just taking up way too much of the real estate on the screen. And another thing is these buckets. Now, this is all useful information. This is all very critical, but we need to kind of lower the amount of usage that we are utilizing real estate wise. These are all very helpful tools. Um, and um, especially this simulator, this is a very useful tool. But kind of when we're first arriving on the homepage, we want to just kind of refresh it, utilize some of these same elements, but what we want to do is reorganize them so that they're placed better, and then we can kind of showcase what we're all about. Like this simulator is definitely like one of like our top priorities. So in our refresh, what I want to showcase is, we'll start with, um, I was thinking of a different UI where we have kind of the same thing that we were talking about before, but kind of listed on the side. Um, it would kind of go from like the home page, and then we can cut down into the various different functions. But never mind that. Right now, we have our company, which would be the employer, and then we have our population size. That's at the very top. All right, so once we have that, now the main thing that we want to highlight and in our restructuring is we want to have a chat that's kind of immediately present. So that AI functionality, that is no longer kind of separated on like a different page. It's not going to be like over here and be like AI assistant. In fact, it's going to be the main thing to the top of the screen. And this we're playing around with this, seeing if like this belongs at the top or at the bottom, but hierarchically, it makes sense for it to be the top. And then we have various different tiles below it, and these tiles will kind of go back to exactly what we had before. These same things will be in various different sizes, taking up the real estate so that on first glance we have access to everything that we need as well as the AI chatbot. And in a lot of this restructuring, the point of having this AI chatbot, um, it's really like a tool for research. So this is going to be like our research tool, um, the AI bot, a chat interface. But um, what the user will be able to do is upon entry, they can go ahead and directly utilize this chat interface to go more in depth. Type in things like, oh, like what are the individuals that intervention would help yield the most cost savings? What are some of the areas that are most helpful for intervention? Um, what population set to look at first? Who in the rising risk is like most in need of attention? And would intervention actually help? They can research all of that with this interface. But of course, we don't want to have just this text box or just this area of entry. We want to have various tiles here. And based on what me and David were talking about, is we really like the cost graph to be front and center to showcase that right now this is their spend, and then this is what their spend will be in 1 year without any like intervention and stuff. So this is right off the bat kind of showcases um, exactly what theirs will be, and that is exactly similar to this. I think one thing that's really important to highlight here is the dollar amount. And we can kind of just reframe that by having that kind of model, but we want to just take the have less green real estate. So perhaps the graph and then the dollar amount right here. Next, and then the next thing that we're going to do is we want to have the risk buckets right here, but we want them to take way less space. So what we were thinking is having the context of all 4 risk buckets, right? This is critical and this is low risk, but we have rising and then high risk. And then these buckets will visually look larger and be more pronounced, whereas these other ones will be kind of in the background. And this kind of showcases where it's worth, where in the population in these buckets is really worth that kind of intervention. Awesome. And so after we look at that, the main thing that we really loved and we really wanted to highlight was that simulator. And so we wanted to have that front and center. We didn't want to have it at the bottom. So we have that simulator right here with a few different dials. I think, especially with the number of different things here, that's great for, a lot of different variability here. But on the front page, we want to have just like a few key ones and then the dollar amount right here we want to showcase. So we have that dollar amount right here, and then that would be really prominent. And we can have these like be variably changing based on some of the models. We can make them like the classics. We can maybe even give them the option to sort them in different ways. We can like let them maybe like AI choose it, or like users can choose whatever they want to. And then finally, this same data, this is like important, I would say, like overall overview information. We want that here too. So I was thinking it's like number of population, number of engaged, and that medical spend number. And I think the important thing about all of these is that what you can do is you have the tile, but we're going to have an option for expansion for all of them. So right in here, they can click on expanding it so they can get more view. And of course, they can jump into a separate screen that might have like even more information. But we'll have the option to expand all of these tiles into larger tiles so that the user at the dashboard view will be able to get more information without having to leave the page. And definitely, I think another huge thing that we really liked was the priority interventions. That can be listed really quickly right here. And we can just have them kind of easy put. But right here now, our home page, it doesn't even require a scroll. It doesn't require scrolling down to 2 whole home pages. Instead, we have the AI chat interface, which I really want to highlight and kind of showcase for Saffron Health. We have that graph, the risk categories, some overview information, that simulator calculator, very important, and then priority interventions. And then, of course, this sidebar navigation, we can definitely figure out if that's even important. We can keep it for here for right now, but this will really showcase how we are trying to transition from just like utilizing the real estate in a more efficient manner.